where are the predictions for Brandon Rios versus Mike Alvarado? Not a lot of people speaking out on this fight. Well, let me give my 2 cents. I think this is an excellent matchup, and really a trilogy that was meant to be once you saw that first fight. Overall, I think Brandon Rios is a very limited fighter. He's shown that throughout his whole career, and there are keys to victory where if you just follow a blueprint, you will beat Brandon Rios. Plain and simple. He cannot handle foot movement. He couldn't handle it against Diego Chavez. He couldn't handle it against Manny Pacquiao. He couldn't handle it against Mike Alvarado in that second fight. The second Mike Alvarado moved his feet, used his length, he had a clear advantage, and Rios could not cut off the ring. In a big ring in Denver, this should be an Alvarado fight. Like, come on, he's in his backyard. He's got the advantage of having the last victory against him. He knows this is familiar territory. He knows how to beat this guy. He's done it before. I like Mike Alvarado in the fight. I know there's he has a lot of personal issues concerning a court case he had to deal with because he had a gun on him and he's already got a warrant out. So he definitely has a lot on his plate. He has every reason to be distracted going into this fight, and that could be an issue. But on the other hand, sometimes boxing could be that release from your normal life. You know what I mean? Like that can be that one area where you excel in, and once you get into that real world, you got to deal with the real world. But I truly believe that this could be a sort of an escape for him, where he made the weight. He looks in great shape. Brandon Rios is the one that looks kind of soft, but he never looks at perfectly cut. He's not that kind of. He doesn't have that type of physique, but he did look a little soft, Rios. But he did make the weight, and it didn't look like he had to kill himself to make the weight. He looked okay. So certainly heading into this fight, it looks like both of these guys will be at or near their absolute best, and they're gonna put on somewhat of a war, somewhat of a boxing match. Listening to interviews of Mike Alvarado, he's saying that he's gonna stick to his tactics. He's gonna stick to his game plan, his blueprint in terms of what he did uh, to beat Rios previously, and that's good news. He's not getting sucked into the war that everyone wants to see. And he can't. If he gets sucked into that, then he's going to be in really deep waters with Brandon Rios. And the way I kind of see this fight going is I think this fight goes the distance. I think this will go all 12 rounds. I know it could be interesting because these guys have been in a ton of wars, a ton. Fucking. The thing is, I look at Rios's chin and he still has that fucking iron chin. He withstood Manny Pacquiao's barrage over 12 rounds. Uh, he looked all right against Diego Chavez. You could see he had quite a bit of rust. He's still getting hit with a lot of shots, but he's got that chin, man, and no one's been able to crack it. I'm not sure if Alvarado can crack it. If he nails the right shot, he might be able to knock him down, and that could be a real dangerous sign for Brandon Rios. But Alvarado's not. He's not a giant puncher. He was able to knock down Marquez, and I kind of feel like that fight was really undershadowed in the build up for this fight. HBO did not mention Alvarado's fight with Marquez, which was a solid fight towards the second half where Alvarado did stage a comeback. He did hurt Marquez, but it kind of bordered between a flash knockdown. It's hard to tell if he was really hurt, because Marquez was able to then knock down Alvarado, and it turned into a great fight towards the end. So definitely think that Alvarado deserves some credit for hanging in there with Marquez, and Brandon Rios hasn't, apart from Pacquiao, he hasn't been in there with any other elite fighters. So um, I sort of give the edge to Mike Alvarado in Denver. I feel like this should be the performance he was supposed to have against Ruslan Provodnikov, who was a much more dangerous, devastating puncher that really took his soul. And I just hope that doesn't creep back into him and Brandon Rios doesn't go in there and take his soul again. It could happen, but I just don't see it happening because Rios, he doesn't have the foot speed of a Ruslan Provodnikov. Provodnikov has underrated feet. You know, he's got good head movement as well. He knows how to get on the inside, and he knows how to let his hands go. And I don't think Rios has that level of power, or the level of or that level of foot speed. And I think Alvarado should have enough advantage on the outside to where he can control the fight and keep it in his domain. And if he wants to get into a bit of a war, he should be able to control in terms of when he wants to box and when he wants to slug it out. So I edge Alvarado in this fight. He's the underdog, so there's definitely a betting opportunity. Uh, but you never know. I just don't really put a lot of stock into Brandon Rios right now. I can't see him winning this fight in a dominant fashion. I think it goes to scorecards and where Alvarado will have an edge in Denver. So I see Alvarado winning a decision. Let me know what you guys think. It is what it is. E King Fightings.